Hey guys, it's Sean. Welcome back to the channel. And if you are around my age, you probably remember this sound. Yeah, but what you probably don't remember is actually being able to see this monitor. This is a very special Game Boy. This has been modded and has a lot of unique modern conveniences that sort of bring life back into this old relic from my gaming past. And I am here today to talk to you about what makes this so unique, any cons about it that I might have, and why I think you may or may not need to have this in your life immediately. So if you're a child in the 80s like myself, you probably had a Game Boy. This was such a common household appliance. Like almost everybody had one of these.
Now you're playing with power, portable power.
Like as things go more digital, I'm starting to yearn more for the old days of actually having, a cartridge or a disc and being able to take it with me. And that's kind of what I wanted to do with this. Like the Game Boy for me was so important, and now I have one, but this is not your standard Game Boy. There's a lot of changes with this. So this is running on something from a company called FunnyPlaying. What it does is have a completely new shell. It looks as OEM as possible. Like this looks legit like it came out of the factory. Brand new. The screen on it is an IPS LCD screen, and it's just beautiful. The screen on this thing is absolutely stunning. You can change the colors on it. There's a little control wheel. You push it in once, and then you can slide it up and down, and it changes the colors on the screen. You have a different variety of colors. And if you hold in the button, it gives you sort of the old dot matrix look that the original had, which is really cool. It's a cool effect. It takes the contrast down. It sort of makes it more like the original Game Boy was, but it had like those little dots, if you remember, and it's a cool effect. And I was playing it like that for a little while, but I'm gonna be honest, like the way that the screen looks and how crisp and beautiful it is, I turned it off, and it's just I don't know if I can go back now. But I do like to play this on the original green color that I remember as a kid. The Game Boy had like a weird greenish yellow sort of tint to it, and this emulates that perfectly, and I just love it. One of the other modern conveniences this has is the back here has been outfitted with a rechargeable battery pack. So another thing, if you remember having a Game Boy as a kid, was batteries are scarce. When you were a kid, like finding batteries was like finding the Holy Grail. Like it was just something that always seemed to be in short supply, and you were a kid, you didn't have any money, so it's not like you were able to go out and buy batteries. But the Game Boy just used to chew through batteries, and it was just never something you would be able to readily have. So this sort of fixes that problem, and I get about 12 hours of gameplay on this before I have to charge it. One particular con to the battery pack is the battery just sort of dies. You don't really get a warning. The original Game Boy, the battery light used to like fade or flicker, and that's how you knew you were on the outs with the battery. In this case, it just sort of dies out. So you could be in the middle of a game, and if you're playing a game that's got a save state and you haven't hit a save state, you're just going to lose that because the thing's just going to die. But the good news is it only takes about an hour and a half to recharge this thing to full capacity, and then you got about 12 hours of gameplay. So that's pretty great. One of the other unique things to this is this guy right here. This is the Everdrive Game Boy. This is the X5 version by Crix. So basically what this is a way to play any Game Boy game you want on one cartridge. It runs off of an SD card, and you can outfit it with homebrew independent games or regular Game Boy ROMs if you want. Obviously, I can't tell you where to get ROMs, but it's really not that hard. Maybe a simple Google search will help you put you on the path to getting ROMs for your Game Boy. So if you know anything about the way that my mind works, I kind of go all into something when I do. So when I started getting Game Boy games, I got a lot of Game Boy games. I started spending hundreds of dollars, and I was buying carrying cases for them, like the little clear cases you remember to keep, dust and sunlight and stuff like that out of them. And then I had to find a way to put those in something. So I got these little 3D printed card slot holders that you could fit all of them in, hold about 10 each. So it's a really convenient way to, like, you know, stack them nicely and be able to put them out into easily. But the reason I got this guy right here, the X5, is I just wanted to be able to take all of my games, put them on one cartridge, and take them with me everywhere. And it's amazing for that. So, you know, you load up all your ROMs onto the SD card, you put them into the X5, and there even has like a little reset button. So once you get into the menu and you start playing a game, if you want to play another game, there's like a little tab you press on the top, and that'll reset you back to the main menu. It works flawlessly. There's a few differences between this and the X3 and the X7. There's 3 different models for the Game Boy, and they're just sort of vary by features. The X7 being the big boy, I almost went with that one, but the only real difference between that and the X5 was the ability to have saved states, and it's just something I'm not really into. I don't want to be able to save the game wherever. I just kind of want to be able to play them as they were intended, if that makes sense. This does allow for saved games, so any games that actually feature like a battery save, you can still save your data and it records normally. But it doesn't allow for the anytime you want save states like the X7. So that your mileage may vary depending upon which version you want. But if you're more of like a hardcore old school gamer like myself, and just want the ability to play a ton of games anytime, anywhere, and not necessarily have to save anywhere, this then will be the one you want to go with. The X5 is really great, but if you're someone who wants to be able to, you know, save anytime you want, you're going to want the X7. That thing's going to give you all of the options and features that you want. This thing is just so amazing. It makes me so happy. I have mentioned on the show before, I do have rather large mitts, so it's funny how the Game Boy still feels so comfortable after all these years. And as my hands have been able to grow into it, like being able to play this thing for copious amounts of time and not really get hand fatigue or, you know, being able to find a comfortable place to put it. Like, it just fits comfortably in my hands and I can enjoy it. And it has just been a delight to revisit a lot of these old games from my past and some new ones that I had never really even heard of as a kid. You know, I played a few new games that I'd never really seen before. One of them called Mercenary Force. A lot of fun. There's another game I've been playing called Battle Unit Zeoth, which I had also never heard of, but that game is super fun. It's like a fun little side scroller. There's some great R-Type games on here, just the classic side-scrolling shooter series. The Game Boy library is a lot more vast than I had really remembered. So there's a couple different ways you can do this. You can do these as a kit and order the parts from the company itself, FunnyPlaying. And if you want to do that, you're going to have to take apart an old Game Boy. You're going to have one, first of all, then you're going to have to take it apart. And, you know, you're going to have a little bit of experience in things like soldering, and it's going to require some patience and a little bit of skill. But if you feel like you're up for that challenge, you can order the parts right off that website, and I'll put a link to their site in the description below. Or if you're like myself and you just want to have the thing and be able to do it at your disposal, there's a link to a person I bought off eBay that I will put in the description below as well. But you just order it, you get some options, you can pick the shell, and you can sort of go with different options. Like if you do want the battery pack, rechargeable battery pack, or if you don't, there's an option for that as well. But you can just do it on one foul swoop. Cost you about $230, which, given the price of like a regular, you know, DMG Game Boy, and then the parts, it's not bad. You save, it's good. It's like an extra $30 versus if you were to do it yourself. But the other thing is like, do you trust yourself enough to make this mod? I personally don't. I don't have the equipment to solder, so I just decided to purchase this directly as a complete unit. And it arrived perfectly, arrived quickly, and it has been nothing but a delight to play. Being able to revisit the Game Boy and its library has been so much fun. And, you know, it's fun because, like, a lot of the Game Boy games, since it was so early in the hardware, are just designed to be quick. You know, I played through Super Mario Land in like an hour and beat it. And that was just a lot of fun. That game holds up remarkably well. Like, the music's still fun, and it was just always an odd Mario game. It's got some really bizarre gameplay elements to it, but I always really liked that one. And then, you know, the sequel, 6 Golden Coins, that one takes a little longer, but it's still like, these games are kind of designed to be like easily digestible and not really last that long. It's kind of like a fun little way to play a lot of games in a short amount of time. And that's been a lot of fun. Like, I just take this with me everywhere now and just sort of play on the go, and it's been a lot of fun. One other great thing about the X5 is it will play in a Super Game Boy, and it will play it with certain enhancements. So these games that were designed for the Game Boy that had like Game Boy Color elements, they will actually maintain those elements and play flawlessly on the Super Game Boy. So if you want to play these games, you can just take that one cartridge again, put it into your Super Game Boy, and have an infinite library of games at your disposal to play on a TV. I think that's really got to do it for today. Like, if you want to revisit one of the classic OG Nintendo systems in more modern conveniences, like being able to see it, like if being able to see it is important to you, I can't recommend this enough. This thing has been fantastic. And again, like the battery life, just charging it for like an hour, you're good to go all day. Like it's so great. The screen is so beautiful. I hope that these images that I'm showing you do some justice to the screen, because it's absolutely stunning how clear it is and just how amazing these games look, and so crisp and so contrasty. And from every angle, it looks great. There's no bleeding or anything. It's just, it looks perfect. Like, it's as good as Game Boy could possibly ever look. And I honestly cannot recommend this enough. And if you have any questions about the game room or suggestions, like things you think that would be cool to be in there, let me know in the comments below. Also, please subscribe. Like, I can't do this without you, and I really appreciate all of the support. This has been a slow year for the channel as far as content being made, but it's been crazy, like the amount of growth in this channel. I'm really glad you guys are liking this stuff. So there's more coming. I think the next thing I might do is dive into the PSVR 2. I've been living with that since it came out, and now that I've really had like the chance to play with it for a long period of time, I really would like to put something together that sort of shows like the long-term pros and cons of that system, because it's so complicated, and VR is such a, I feel like there's just so much there that we can get into, and I would really like to be able to do that and share that with you guys. All right, anyways, I think that's going to do it, guys. I'm going to go kick back, play some Game Boy. It's a beautiful, cold, fall, rainy New England October day, and I can't think of anything better right now than kicking back and playing a little Game Boy. So stick around for the next one. Do some VR stuff. Let's get into VR. There's a lot there to discuss. We'll get into that. But thank you for coming by, and I'll see you on the next one.